The post-LaVine era gets started off with a bang as the Chicago Bulls defeat the Miami Heat 133 to 124. We're going to talk about what all went to the win, the big night from the rookie Matas Buzelis, all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And the Bulls get a dub in this game, man. This was a big win by the Chicago Bulls. They had 4 players score at least 20 points in this game. This is a big win by the Bulls in a era in which they just moved on from Zach LaVine as their franchise player. And the Bulls came out here and played really, really well in this game. When you look at the second half in this game specifically for the Bulls just dominated. 55% shooting from the field, 54% shooting from three in the second half of this game. And that's really where the Bulls pulled away from this game. They were down by 10 at the end of the first half, but this team had played with a lot of energy in the first half of this game. In the second half, the Bulls outscored them in fast break points. They outscored them in points in the paint. They outscored them overall, of course, right? The Bulls just dominated the second half of this game in such a meaningful way that it was crazy. 17 points off turnovers that the Chicago Bulls have in the second half of this game. And they use that to push them to be able to win this game. Now, listen, I get it. They're different energy. The crowd was in it for today. And I think a big part of this game, I'm not putting it all on the Rook, but Matas Buzelis played with such energy and poise today. He had 31 minutes off the bench. He's 10 from 10 from the field, 24 points, 2 blocks, 3 rebounds in this game, and the energy that Matas Buzelis played with just put the crowd in the game. It was momentum changing, right? But it wasn't just Matas. 24 points from Josh Giddy as well in this game. He had 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, all over the place in this game. 21 points from Ayo Dosunmu, 22 points from Coby White in this game as well. Another double-double from Vucevic with 12 points, 10 rebounds. But, man, overall, this team, this is what playing free gives you, man. It's why sometimes you just got what did I say before when I wanted to see the young guys coming off the bench for the Bulls is you want to play young guys who are just too young to give a damn, right? That's sometimes what you got to do. And that's what the Bulls did today. These young players just they didn't give a damn. They didn't give a damn they were without Zach LaVine. They didn't give a damn if they were favored or not. They just came here and played basketball. And for that, they repaid it with getting the dub in this game. This was a fun win. I get it. Not everything just comes down to fun, of course, right? We understand that it takes more than just fun. But I tell you what, when you're a team that's demoralized, right, like the Bulls could have been in this game, especially the fan base after the trade, all those type of things, you come in here and you provide some fun, they're going to rock with you. And that's what happened today. The Bulls came out here and they just had fun, and they played the game of basketball. And it's kind of frustrating in a way as well, right? You see the way that Matas Buzelis was able to perform today, and it just reminds you, like, this is the same kid that was struggling to get 20 minutes off the bench not too long ago. The same kid that we're looking at after drafting 11 overall and wondering, why isn't Billy Donovan playing this guy? You play him and you get results. Now, is it going to be this way every single game? No. Right? I don't think anybody who's reasonable is going to try to make that argument either, that it's going to be like this every single game if you start this kid. But you do got to look at this and say, hey, there's something to this, man. There's something to this. You got to play young guys, man. And it's amazing how when you play your young players, how they develop. Matas Buzelis, the thing that we've all said about Matas Buzelis is that he has the mindset, right? The type of mindset that even if he goes out there and he makes a mistake or he has a game that's trash or a little questionable or whatever it is, he has the type of mindset that he's going to bounce back. He's not going to allow it to get in his head. He's not going to allow it to get him down on himself. He's going to take that, try to learn from it, and then try to bounce back and play even better the next time he gets an opportunity. And Matas Buzelis showed today, hey, I deserve opportunity. And hopefully this is something that Billy Donovan, everybody's watching. This is why you make moves like that. Not saying Matas Buzelis specifically, but you make moves like this so you can see what you have in your youth, right? When you move on from your veterans, to see what you have in your youth, to hope that some of the guys that you brought in here, that you drafted, are going to be the next phase for this team. Now it's up to them to continue to take this opportunity, make the most of it, right? And to show and prove, hey, this is why I deserve minutes. This is why I'm going to earn my minutes, right? But you got to give them the opportunity to sink or swim. And that's just what we fail to do sometimes as a franchise, is give these young guys the opportunity to sink or swim. We gave them the opportunity today, and Matas Buzelis swam today. He swam today. Now, it was a mixed bag for other rooks. Julian Phillips only played 6 minutes. There's no Dalen Terry today, so there's that as well, right? But Patrick Williams played 30 minutes. It was a Patrick Williams game. He did have 7 rebounds, which is really good, 4 assists. He found a way to impact the game of basketball off the bench. But you want to see what you have. You're never going to know what you have in these young guys if you do not give them the opportunity. You got to give young guys the opportunity. You got to give young guys the opportunity. And if you don't do that, hey, then that's when you're going to be wondering years down the road, hey, do we have anything in these young guys? But Josh Giddy as well. Let's talk a little bit about Josh Giddy. The 24 points, the +7 from the field that Josh Giddy was today. And Josh Giddy got better as this game went on as well. I always talk about Josh Giddy, and what's the word that I always use with Giddy? He's a confidence player. Josh Giddey's a player that he builds off confidence, and if he gets some confidence early on, watch out if he gets to rocking and rolling. Josh Giddy played with confidence today. He played with confidence down the stretch of this game, and it didn't even necessarily start off the best in the game where you look at it and be like, hey, he played with some amazing confidence. But he adapted, and that was the big thing from Giddy today. It's like Josh Giddy adapted as this game went on, and he played a really damn good second half of basketball. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. You know, he had some defensive liability times at that. But listen, Josh Giddy, a player that struggled and that Billy Donovan hasn't played him a lot in fourth quarters of games. Second half of the game today, 17 minutes played for Josh Giddy in the second half. He had 17 points in that. He went 6 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Josh Giddy played really good in the second half of this game, and it just added to that momentum that the Bulls were building off of. Again, we talk about young players. I think we got to remember, Josh Giddy's 22 years old. No, he's not a finished product yet. No, it's not perfect yet. Yeah, there's going to be some times where you look at Josh Giddy and you're like, hey, what the hell was that tonight, Gids? But again, like with everybody else, you got to take the good with the bad. You got to allow him the chance and the opportunity to start working through some things. And yeah, it's different when you're playing to win, right? When you're playing a tight game and his defensive liabilities are showing and things like that. But this, again, it's not about wins or losses for this team anymore. And in it not being about wins and losses and it's being more about development, Josh Giddy is another player that you want to invest those development minutes in. I know that Bulls fans aren't all the happiest with Josh Giddy, whether it's the Alex Caruso trade or whatever else it is that makes Bulls fans or his play. I mean, I want to act like there's not some legitimate concerns with Josh Giddy's play at times to where it can't be him as the player. But he's 22 years old. And if you make moves like this, you want to see what you got in the 22-year-old. You want to give that 22-year-old a chance and an opportunity to work through his mistakes as well. We knew when we drafted Josh Giddy, he's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. So you got to invest time. You got to invest minutes. You got to invest all that so that you can see the other side of that and hopefully get something that's going to help you. So glad to see Josh Giddy takes this first game after the LaVine era and uses it as well to open some eyes about him. So, hey, it is what it is, man. We got to continue to grow. We got to continue to develop. And I'll say this. It started off really strange as far as Billy Donovan's rotations, especially in the sense that we were still starting 4 guards out there with no protection, things like that. But, hey, Billy Donovan also – got to give him credit. I'll critique an aspect of this team when it's not good, but I also will be honest when things start getting better. Billy Donovan coached a pretty damn good rotation in the second half of this game. Still some kind of taking players out at certain times and things that are questionable. But I think overall, Listen, I'm not a Billy Donovan guy. They could fire Billy Donovan tomorrow. Wouldn't be no skin off my back or my teeth, whatever the saying is. But Billy Donovan coached a pretty good game, specifically in the second half of this game. And I just want to give Billy Donovan credit for that because I critique Billy Donovan and call him out when he doesn't do it. So I want to be honest when he does something good and see what's happening. Is Julian Phillips getting the Marco treatment? It seems like I can't compare to that. Marko Simonovic didn't even get really a chance at the NBA level. Julian Phillips did. He was in the rotation at the start of the season. He had some things that he definitely fell some short on at some times. But listen, I think that Julian Phillips is going to get an opportunity to earn some more minutes out here. Just let the guys earn their minutes with they play, period. Facts. No notes on that one. The Bulls didn't need to trade Zach to get modest minutes, but that it was required to force Billy to play him is a fireable offense. Nah, I can't agree with that. There's a lot of fireable offenses for Billy Donovan, make no mistake about it, but not that. Because it's not just about playing minutes, it's about getting shots. The Bulls needed somebody who's going to be a shot maker and a shot taker. And Matas Buzelis for tonight stepped up and showed that he's ready to be in that situation. Now, should Matas have been playing more minutes? Yeah, but he's not going to get 30 minutes. Like he did tonight if it wasn't for Zach LaVine being traded. Outside of Giddy defense, I do love his confidence and rebounds listen, Josh Giddy's rebounding as a guard is next level. It's really next level. And it's not just because of his height. Like I didn't even realize before somebody told me, what was that, like a month ago, that Josh Giddy was one of the players with a negative wingspan. But I think that it's just his tenacity. Giddy goes after rebounds, man. He goes after rebounds. Protect Matas Buzelis at all costs. Get him a better nickname as well. Get him a better nickname. Little Boozy Vert, I hate that. Y'all will love Trey Jones if he doesn't get flipped. He can score, drop 30 in the game, and was coached well. I mean, listen, most NBA players can drop 30 if you give them an opportunity. But I think Trey Jones is a really good point guard, right? In the truest sense of the words. He's solid as a point guard. If you have some really good players that are going to move without the ball, those type of things, Trey Jones can shine in situations like that. But the problem with this team is that we're very deep with the guard position. Now, for example, if we were, and I'm not comparing them as players, but if we do end up moving Lonzo, which now is in doubt if we're going to be looking to move Lonzo Ball, but if we were to move Lonzo, I think that Trey Jones is ready to step up in that role pretty well, right? Like as far as that first guard off the bench, facilitates, get other players involved. He's not the defender that Lonzo Ball is, but I do think he's ready to step in and do some similar type things if need be, right? Diesel says, on your earlier video, you talked about good it would be if the Bulls re-sign Lonzo. So you think Lonzo and Giddy can coexist together? Yeah. They don't necessarily have to play minutes together, but I actually think their minutes together doesn't look terrible. So, but yeah, they definitely can coexist together. I don't really think that that's a problem at all, to be 100% honest. That's not even on my list of concerns with this team as far as fit. Now, one thing that we've been tracking, we've been talking about as it happens more and more, is Matas Buzelis and Patrick Williams minutes together. They played 24.4 minutes together today. The Bulls were +6. They had a net rating of 8.9, an offensive rating of 127, and a defensive rating of 118.9. Now, the defensive rating is a little higher than I'd like to see it. Keep in mind, defensive rating, the higher number is worse. You want the lower number. So you want that to be more towards 112, 110, in between that range for defensive rating. But this is a nice sample size. They also had a pace of 104 out there as well, 76% assist percentage when they were out there. Their most impactful lineup today was Ayo Dosunmu, Josh Giddy, Matas Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith. Why that's interesting is that if Vooch is moved on, depending on what we get back, you're probably looking at Josh Giddy, Coby, Buzelis, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith, maybe being your starting lineup. So it's some good signs starting to happen there with Buzelis and Patrick Williams out there together. If we look out with the draft and bring someone in to help Matas, Coby, Ayo, Giddy, I see a future here, man. I really do. The pressure is off. Let's see them develop, benefit of direction. I agree with you. Like if you're, and I get it, everybody's looking at Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, those guys in this draft. But I'll tell you this, if the Bulls are able to walk away with this draft with a Kaman Malowick in this draft, and you add that to already getting Patrick Williams, I like it. If you're able to add VJ Edgecombe in this draft, I like it. If you're able to add Igor Dimon in this draft, I like it. There's a lot of players in this draft that could really help the Bulls solidify their direction, and I like that a lot for it as well. Matas Rookie of the Year. I mean, I think we're past the point of that being able to be the case, but I feel where you're coming from. Look how long it took Coby to get better. Giddy will be a star. Hey, listen. There's all the makings. I've talked about it before, right? Josh Giddy is a consistent three-pointer or a better defender away from becoming an all-star contender. Like it just is what it is. You see that there, right? So we'll see. Matas and Malowick, if we draft him, might be a future front court. Man, I tell you, that could be a dangerous, dangerous front court, man. Elijah, peace, good brother. Dope ass hoodie. Really think that this team is going to be fun. Oh, yeah, I think this team is going to be fun to watch too, because you got to think about it this way, right? We don't have any now that Zach LaVine is gone, and if Vooch ends up getting moved too, we don't have a lot of players that can create their own shot. And so when you have players that can't really create their own shot, you know what that means? You moving with pace, trying to take advantage, using your speed, those type of things, that becomes more and more important as when you don't have players that can create their own shots. So if the Bulls are able to go out and play this way, right, where they're playing with a quick pace, movement around, right, those type of things, I think this is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. Kendall Gill on the post-game show saying he thinks Matas will be better than Cooper Flagg. I don't agree with that personally. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, but I think the thing with Cooper Flagg is that Cooper is going to step into the NBA and be a two-way player right away, right? Well, Matas has all the physical makeup, all the intangibles to be a really good defender, and you see his defense getting better. But Cooper Flagg is so head and shoulders above Matas Buzelis, where Matas was this time last year as a defender. And I think also as far as shooting ability. Now, I'm not saying Cooper Flagg's going to come out there and be Kyle Korver, but he is a much more consistent shooter than what Matas started off this rookie season with. So we'll see. But listen, Matas Buzelis has an amazing upside when it comes down to it. Matas has the same athleticism like Zach. In order for him to unleash his leap in talent, Zach needs to go. Hope Lonzo will stay and have a friendly deal contract. See, I don't think LaVine had to go because they play completely different positions. But it does open up opportunity. It forces you to have to play your young guys in times like that, right? Why was Zach traded truly? I never understood why. What do you mean? We had to move on. Like, I mean, all jokes aside, like you're paying a player. Let's not even critique Zach's game. Let's just look at the state of the team, right? You're a team that was on pace to win 34 games with a player making $42 million per year. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that's just not a financial responsibility, right? So even if you don't want to critique Zach LaVine's game, which there are legit criticisms to Zach LaVine's game, fine. Look at the place of the team. The place of the team didn't really dictate or show that it was worth keep paying that for the fact that you had a team that just wasn't moving on, right? So this is something to look at for in that area as well. If AK can build this team right around Matas, the Bulls could be like Memphis, San Antonio type team, not contending, but slowly building towards that. I mean, Matas also has to show himself that he's somebody you can build around, right? And please, somebody else, we got 666 people watching live. That number terrifies me. But you got to show it. You can't really show that somebody's not, you can't say that a player is somebody you can build around with this small of a sample size. And I get it. I love Matas Buzelis just like everybody else, but I'm going to be realistic. Matas has not shown himself to be somebody you can build around yet. It's just too small of a sample size. But he is showing that he is definitely somebody you can build with. But you would hope that anyway. That's why you drafted him at 11th overall. Matas first rookie in Bulls history to log 10-plus field goals made with 100% shooting. Well, shout out to that. Now, without these ball dominant players like Zach and Debo, these players will finally run and gun freely. Well, I don't want to see run and gun. Run and gun is not a good connotation to me, but I do want to see them move with a quicker pace and see what we can do. Haize, I think we should keep Zoe. What do you think? Personally, we need some experience with the kids. Luckily, I have a whole video on that, but I agree with that. I agree with that. Melvin says, I was never good in match or this cap space stuff. But with Zach LaVine contracts off our books now, how's our cap space? How we prioritize defense and shooting in free agency? We got to keep in mind, we did. It's not like we sent out Zach LaVine and didn't take anything back. So our cap space technically right now is the exact same. Now, where you start benefiting from some of this stuff is that like Trey Jones is a free agent at the end of this year, I believe, whereas Herter and Collins goes into next year. So you start losing some of that, right? And then their contracts are up overall earlier than Zach LaVine's would have been. So you look at that for sure. We better get Giddy his contract before his value explodes and we are forced to pay too much. Well, unfortunately, now they can't extend him until the end of the season. So you don't have the opportunity to sign him before now. You got to see this season through and let it be what it's going to be. So we'll see what the future holds for Josh Giddy with that. Vooch is now prepared to be here past the deadline. Didn't catch the halftime show, so wasn't sure if you talked about that. Also, Zoe may stay since the Bulls would have to take bad contracts for picks. Yeah, I mean, but that's the point. It's taking bad contracts back for picks. Now that they've kind of freed up, I think the key thing is that the Bulls just don't want salary that goes past 2026 summer. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Matas Buzelis pretty damn good with the floor spread out. They try to use 3-2 zone, and Buzelis ate that up. And out of the big four draftees, Ace, VJ, Cooper, and Dylan, give me Ace or VJ. A lot of people say that as well. I love VJ Edgecombe. Like I love VJ Edgecombe in this draft for sure, for sure. I think Vooch proved tonight that he's probably going, man. 0 for 5 in the first half. It's not like him whatsoever. I mean, listen, I think that Vooch, when it comes down to it, like, there's a little bit of, I think he also sees the writing on the wall, right? Like he doesn't fit the direction that this team is going, much less talking about stylistically on the court, right? So that leads itself to being like, all right, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? You think Matas will be better than Jalen Brad? Way too early to try to say anything like that. Listen, I would love to be the fan and be rah-rah, oh my God, Matas Buzelis is going to be better than Jason Tatum, but I'm still a realistic person, even though I'm a Bulls fan first. It's a lot more that I need to see from Matas before I be anywhere close to saying that. What if the Bulls get lucky and get Cooper Flag? LOL, Coby, Giddy, Matas, and Flag. Nickname would be Coby White's. Okay, I'll leave. That is hilarious, bro. That's pretty damn funny. That's pretty damn funny. Ryan says, just a curious question and thought. Of course, depending on trades, that still may come, but what's the max salary space we could have to sign a potential free agent this offseason next? Well, we don't have any cap space. So we don't have true cap space, but what the Bulls do have is they can use their full mid-level exception, which we haven't been able to do the last couple of years. But as it stands right now, the Bulls won't have cap space. Now, they will be under the luxury tax, right? So they have that little bit of flexibility in that room, but we don't have like true cap space to go out and give to free agents. So we just don't have that. But I mean, listen, the Bulls right now are slated to be $68 million below the luxury tax. So again, that doesn't mean you have $68 million you can just go offer a player, but it allows you to take exceptions. That allows you to trade. And we have a $24 million trade exception. We can absorb somebody into that. We still got the Josh Giddy extension to worry about as well. So we'll have some flexibility to do some things, but it is what it is, man. I don't necessarily care about Patrick Williams scoring a lot of points, but if he gives this every game where he gives me about 8 rebounds and those other things, I will be happy. I mean, yeah, those are role player numbers, right? And I don't even say that to slight. Like, people hear role player and they automatically think you're trying to slight somebody. That's not necessarily what I'm saying here, but I am saying that that if Patrick Williams can give you 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench, plus 16. This was a bad shooting night as well. Listen, if you only take 8 shots and only make 3 but give 10 points, but you're giving those other things, that's solid. That's solid role player potential, right? So if Matas keeps playing this way for the rest of the year, then maybe we can start building with him. Maybe not around him. Just I think before you can start building around Matas, you got to see a full season of really, really awesome production. Like, let's say that Matas Buzelis comes into next season as a starter, right? And let's say then he averages, I'm just giving a number, 20 and 8 on efficiency, right? All right, then you start looking at like, all right, what do we got here, right? But it's way too early for me to realistically say that we can build around Matas yet. And again, I don't mean that as a slight. I just mean that we need more than that. I watched the last 3 years of OKC prior to the season, and this team, if they didn't draft astutely, could really give the vibes of those Thunder building years fun basketball to watch. I mean, listen, that's what if you're going to be a young rebuilding team, you want to be the Thunder, right? You want to be that team that is playing has a play style, has an identity, is playing really fast, right? And the pieces just fit together. So no, Brock, it's not just you. It's just me or is Giddy? But Giddy's been dunking a lot more. Let's see if I can look up how many dunks he's had. Let's see if I can look at that. Do. Why won't they let you filter it by team? That's stupid. Oh, there we go. What the fuck? It's gonna be too hard, too difficult to find. Man, I really wanted to give you all those numbers, but they are not making it easy on you. I'm in page 10 and I ain't even on the Bulls yet. Oh, there it goes. So that's not even the number. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's dumb. All right. Yeah, I have to look into that for you a different day, brother. I mentioned a few games ago, Giddy scoring would go up in the absence of LaVine. Got to admit, his point per game has been on the rise the last few games. I mean, yeah, and that naturally that should happen, right? Like, I think that should happen to everybody. When you lose a player like Zach LaVine, who's averaging between 17 and 20 shots per game, yeah, other players scoring should start going on, right? Eric says, I took your advice and watched highlights of Igor. Damn, good looking. I'm telling you, man, Igor Dimon, I'm telling y'all, he's not a guy that a lot of people are going to talk about in this draft when you have some of the athletes that you do, but Igor can hoop. That dude can absolutely hoop, man. Absolutely hoop. AJ says, no, Cooper can't shoot consistently. There are more questions about him from a mechanic standpoint. He's a much better defender than Matas and even more athletic, though. But I didn't say that. I'm saying that he's a better shooter than Matas. Now, you can say that Matas had better mechanics, but I think he's still a more consistent shooter than Matas Buzelis at this point, at the place that Matas was now. Let's keep this up. Matas is showing what we need, all want to go out there and play hard and fun. Hey, listen, when you're trying to rebuild your identity, when you're trying to rebuild your team, having players that play like that, really, really good, man. Haize, you just greased the lips midstream after cook. Yeah, I did, bro. And I had to. I thought that when I did it, I had to, bro. It is what it is. I owe Pat an apology. I had to. Lips was dry, Brody. Can't be on live stream with dry ass lips, man. Matas said he has 2 dunks in mind that we haven't seen yet. I'm excited for him at All-Star event. Do you think he has a chance to win the oh yeah, he absolutely has a chance to win the dunk contest. I'll say this, and this isn't just because he's a Chicago Bull. I think that other than Mac McClung, and I'll give Mac, of course, the edge because he's done it before, but other than Mac McClung, I think that Matas Buzelis has the best chance to win the dunk contest, to be honest with you. The best chance to do it. Been watching the Bulls since Jalen Rose, and I'm excited for the Bulls' future. Hopefully, we can make the right choices defensively and offensively. Hopefully, bro. Hopefully, man. Hopefully, we can. NBA.com says 8, but then, yeah, I don't think that's updated yet. So, we'll see, though. We'll see. The Duke center lateral speed seems shaky. Is that the case, or is it just a few games I've watched? No, I mean, listen, there's nobody who's a perfect prospect, and I do think that that's a fair criticism of him to say, hey, the lateral quickness is looking a little bit shaky here. Here's the thing: I don't think that like Kaman is going to be like a Joakim Noah type center where Joakim could switch on anybody. He can switch on guards. He can switch on forwards. He can switch, of course, on centers. I don't think he's going to be that guy, but I will say this. Kaman Malowik is an athlete enough, and he knows how to use his length enough as well that I think he's not going to be like Vooch where you can only play him in drop coverage. That's at least my opinion, right? Which I think is a big up there as well. Dude, VJ is exactly what this team needs. Big 7-footer you were talking about earlier. Listen, I would love VJ. That VJ is definitely somebody that's on my list that I would love the Bulls to get, especially now that we hold our pick outright. But the thing with that is that you got to look at it this way, though. And the reason why VJ, you need 7-footer. Are you sure you're talking about VJ Edgecombe? VJ's only 6'6". You mean by 7-footer? Who are you talking about? You talking about a different VJ? You said 7-footer. Who are you talking about? VJ Edgecombe isn't a 7-footer. So who are you talking about there, brother? Hello from Alaska. Shall we re-sign Lonzo Ball? It's looking like that could be a possibility. Definitely look like that could be a possibility. It's about time we get a bull in the dunk contest. Loving Matas competitive press. Oh yeah, he's gonna go out there and try to do work. That's for damn sure. Have you seen the kid from Michigan, Danny Wolf? I like him with the late first round or early second round pick if we can pick one up. Yeah, I mean, now we don't have a pick in 2025. Well, no, we kept our pick. We traded them the 2028 pick, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see. We'll see. Taking Saloon and Cody over Modest was and Ware is a criminal offense. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely looking that way. Khalil Ware is a monster, dog. Khalil Ware is a monster. If a player makes 26 and you use the trade exception of 24, does that mean 22 million goes against the cap? Or is it deal? Yeah. So you have to be able to absorb them completely into the trade exception. So you can't take a player, like you said, that makes 26 million and 24 of it comes from the trade exception, and the rest goes against the cap. That's not how it works. You have to be able to absorb them completely into the trade exception. And you can't use it on multiple players either. So there's that part of it. Good question, though. Great question there. Haize, not to argue, but can you draft a center in the top 10 that's not a big-time scorer and has shaky lateral speed? I don't know, man. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because Kaman Malowik is having one of the most efficient seasons in collegiate history. And him not being a scorer at college isn't because he can't score. It's because look at the players that he's out there with that are going to score before him. Kaman Malowik can be a guy. If you took away Cooper Flagg from that Duke team, Kaman's probably getting 18, 19 points a game and more rebounds. So yeah, you can draft a center in the top 10 like Kaman Malowik because he has that level of upside. But I do think that you're looking at some other things as well. My bad if you answered this already, but why were Stacy and Adam and me not there? They said they had some stuff going on. We traded them. We traded them to Miami. No, I'm just playing. But yeah. We cannot get rid of every vet on this team. If we make another trade, it has to either be Vooch or Lonzo, not both. We still need an old head around the team for the youngsters. Well, I mean, I think this you can get veterans. Like that is one thing that the Bulls could get is veterans in free agency. So I listen, if you get the right deals, I think you can move on from both of them. I'm not mad if Lonzo stays here at all, right? I'm not mad at that at all, but we'll see. We'll see. But all right, y'all. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. It was good to see this Bulls team get a dub today. And the way that they got the dub, this was a fun game to watch. Hopefully, it was a fun stream for y'all as well. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullsCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773 270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.